face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello, I'm Tensai Gabriel, your host for the news this hour. Stay tuned. President Abdulhamid Tebboune has instructed the government to revisit proposed amendments to the organic law governing elections. According to the statement released by the Council of Ministers, the president emphasized the need for more thorough and careful examination of the proposed changes. The specific areas requiring further scrutiny were not detailed in the statement. The move signals a potential delay in the implementation of the revised electoral framework. It also suggests a desire by the president to ensure that any modifications to the electoral law are meticulously reviewed to address any potential shortcomings or unintended consequences. Such careful consideration, according to analysts, is crucial to maintaining the integrity and fairness of the future elections. The Organic Law on Elections is a fundamental piece of legislation that outlines the rules and procedures governing the electoral process in Algeria. Any amendment to this law are therefore subject to intense public and political scrutiny. The Council of Ministers is expected to reconvene to discuss the amendments further, taking into account the President's instructions. The revised proposals will then likely be submitted for parliamentary approval. Liberia's Senate passed a bill to establish the Agriculture Enterprise Development Bank of Liberia, a state-owned financial institution dedicated to financing the agricultural sector. According to local media outlet The Liberian Investigator, the bill must still be approved by the House of Representatives and signed by the President before it can take effect. Senator Joseph Jala said the planned bank is intended to address a structural change facing the sector, namely limited access to credit for farmers and agro-industrial businesses within the traditional banking system. In its 2024 annual report, the Central Bank of Liberia said agriculture accounted for just 4.1% of the total bank lending that year. Through the Agriculture Enterprise Development Bank of Liberia, the authorities aim to broaden access to financing for thousands of smallholders and rural enterprises through a gradual rollout and partnerships with government agencies, financial institutions, farmer organizations, and development partners. The new institution is expected to offer financial products tailored to the needs of farmers, along with complementary services such as technical assistance, extension support, access to insurance, and facilitation of market access for the sale of agricultural output. Modern farming methods in Ethiopia are transforming agriculture and boosting productivity across the country. Agriculture remains the engine of growth, prosperity, and food security in Ethiopia. Nairobi County has begun installing durable public litter bins in residential areas to combat littering and enhance cleanliness. Governor Johnson Sakaja announced on December 27 that installations have started in upscale estates, including Kalishiwa, Kilimani, and Livington, with more neighborhoods to follow. The bins, made from heat and tamper-resistant durable polymer, are all designed to withstand vandalism, heavy traffic, and harsh weather. To roll out builds on a June initiative that placed similar 110 litter bins across the city center. Sakaja urged residents to use the bins responsibly, stating, "These are not just bins. They're a statement about Nairobi's we're building one that values order, hygiene, and modernity." The effort is supported by the upcoming Green Nairobi Company, which will oversee waste collection and environmental management. Digital transformation is no longer optional for Africa, it is a necessity. Across the continent, agricultural productivity remains low, forcing African countries to import large volumes of food every year. Africa currently spends between 50 and 100 billion US dollars annually on food imports, a situation that is unsustainable. Africa holds more than 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, yet low productivity continues to force the continent to spend millions of dollars importing food every year. In an exclusive interview with Pulse of Africa, Moses Valakati, Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment at the African Union, says digital transformation is critical to unlocking Africa's vast agricultural potential.
Nowadays, digital transformation is the way to go because our productivity is low and our production levels are low. We are still importing huge amounts of food to Africa, and it cannot continue like that. And we are spending over between 50 to 100 billion US dollars importing food. And we're looking at all means possible to say which one can now help us to make sure that production and productivity gap can be reduced.
Vilakati says agriculture supports over 60% of Africa's population, with smallholder farmers producing most of the food consumed across the continent. He emphasizes that access to digital information is key to improving productivity, especially for farmers in rural and remote areas. The AU Commissioner says this approach aligns with Agenda 2063, which aims to improve livelihoods through job creation and food security.
Africa is mainly made up of smallholder farmers. From east to west, south, those are the ones that are actually feeding our families. Agriculture is the one that supports over 60% of our population. Now, as the smallholder farmers are there, they need information. And information you can only get through the digital space nowadays. So we as the AUC, we are saying, how can we therefore help the farmers to make sure that they can become sustainable? It is only through ensuring that the broadband is actually improved, because it is the access to this digital transformation that hinders them to get the relevant information, real-time data, and get the best data that is needed for productivity.
Moving on to business news, the Ghanaian Parliament has passed the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill 2025, establishing a comprehensive legal framework for the digital asset sector. The legislation officially designates the Bank of Ghana as the Securities and Exchange Commission as the primary regulatory bodies responsible for licensing and supervising cryptocurrency-related activities. The legislative aims to bring an estimated $3 billion in annual informal crypto activity into the regulated financial perimeter. By mid-2024, data indicated that approximately 3 million Ghanaians, or 17% of the adult population, were engaged in digital asset transactions. The new law requires all service providers to obtain operational licenses, adhere to strict anti-money laundering protocols, and implement solvency measures to protect customer funds. This formalization is intended to mitigate systematic risk and curb fraudulent activities that have previously exploited the lack of institutional oversight. The enactment of the vast bill aligns Ghana with other major African economies that have recently transitioned from restrictive stances to structured regulation. Zimbabwe will continue buying gold and other precious metals in 2026 to build its foreign exchange reserves and support the stability of its national currency, the ZiG, the country's central bank governor said on Sunday. Central Bank Governor John Mashanyavu Mashaya Vanhu, said in an opinion piece published on Sunday, Mail, the strategy would extend to eventually reach reserves equivalent to 3 to 6 months of import cover. Introduced in April 2024, the ZiG currently accounts for about 40% of daily transactions in Zimbabwe and is backed by foreign exchange reserves held mainly in gold. To support this framework, the central bank accumulates reserves through direct gold purchases and deliveries from the mining sector. Since late 2022, mining companies have been required to pay half of their royalties in the precious metals they produce. Mashanya Vanhu says foreign exchange reserves reached $1.1 billion in mid-December 2025, up from $276 million in April 2024, equivalent to about 1.2 months of import cover. Shifting to sports news, Brian Mbeumo has commended Cameroon's performance following their draw against Ivory Coast, describing the encounter as a balanced contest between the two well-matched sides. Speaking after the game, the Cameroonian forward acknowledged the quality of Ivory Coast and the intensity of the match, noting that both teams came into the game fully prepared. The team played a very good game. It was a tough opponent, tough game, but I think we were there and we were prepared for it, Mbeumo said. The Manchester United attacker admitted that game could have swung either way, with chances created at both ends. Cameroon threatened on several occasions, while Ivory Coast also had opportunities to claim victory, underlining the evenly contested nature of the encounter. Obviously, both teams could have won today. We had chances, they had as well, he added. With the draw secured, Mbeumo stressed the importance of quickly shifting focus to the next challenge in the tournament. We are now ready to prepare for the next game, he concluded, thanking supporters for their backing. The result leaves both Cameroon and Ivory Coast with valuable points as the group remains finely poised, setting the stage for an intriguing battle in the remaining fixtures. Kylian Mbappé chose Morocco to wrap up his end-of-the-year break and made a notable appearance at the Africa Cup of Nations. On Sunday evening in Marrakesh, the French star attended the decisive clash between Ivory Coast and Cameroon as his father's country of origin. Wearing a cap and hood, Mbappé arrived early in the match alongside his brother Ethan, enjoying the spectacle just days before Real Madrid's return to training. He had already drawn attention earlier in the tournament after being spotted in the stands during Morocco's match against Mali, proudly wearing Achraf Hakimi's jersey. His presence did not go unnoticed by African football's top official. CAF President Patrice Motsepe publicly thanked Mbappé on Instagram, praising his support and highlighting the global reach of the AFCON. By acknowledging the French forward, Motsepe sent a strong message about the competition's growing prestige and international appeal. Mbappé was not alone in the stands, as Aurélien Tchouameni and Jules Koundé also attended, reinforcing the sense that AFCON 2025 continues to attract major figures from world football. Let's take a look at the AFCON results and today's fixtures. Next are the most recent weather reports from the region. That's it for this hour. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Ethiopia's path toward building green economies continued. On the 27th of December, the country launched the second Green Mobility Exhibition and Forum. The forum is a 5-day program that runs from 27th of December to 31st of December. The event underscores Ethiopia's growing commitment to sustainable transport and climate resilience. Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Temesgen Trona, officially launched the exhibition and forum. In his opening remarks, Temesgen highlighted that Ethiopia's climate strategy is anchored in key areas such as advancing the Green Legacy Initiative, expanding renewable energy, encouraging the use of electric vehicles, and protecting water bodies from pollution. He stressed that Ethiopia's firm stance in global climate forums is to move beyond roundtable discussions and translate commitments into practical action. The Deputy Prime Minister emphasized that technologies showcased, the partnership forged, and the ideas exchanged during Green Mobility 2025 will reflect Africa's and especially Ethiopia's steadfast commitment to a sustainable transport revolution, and he urged all stakeholders to actively contribute to the nation's green transformation.
ይህ አውደ ርዕይ የኢትዮጵያን ብክለት ቀናሽ አብዮት የሚያበረታቱ ቴክኖሎጂዎችን ማሳያ አውድ ሆኖ ያገለግላል። ከዚህ በተጨማሪ ፖሊሲ አውጪዎች፣ ባለሀብቶች እና ዜጎች
This exhibition serves as a platform to showcase technologies that drive Ethiopia's green mobility revolution. Moreover, the program will help investors, policymakers and citizens gain awareness of the modern and sustainable transport services we are building, the technologies displayed, the collaborations formed and the ideas exchanged at Green Mobility 2025 will highlight Africa's, particularly Ethiopia's, steadfast commitment to realizing a sustainable transport revolution. We care about green growth because we care about the next generation. As the saying goes, those who love their children must plant trees. When we respect nature, it provides us with everything we need. When we exploit it, it poses great dangers to us. Human history has revealed this truth time and again. Our vision is for Ethiopia's prosperity to be green prosperity. Therefore, at this decisive forum, I call upon scholars, media professionals, religious leaders, elders, private and public institutions, development partners, and all citizens to contribute practical solutions.
ምሁራን፣ የሚዲያ ሰዎች፣ የሃይማኖት አባቶች፣ የሀገር ሽማግሌዎች፣ የመንግስትና የግል ተቋማት እንዲሁም የልማት ተባባሪዎቻችንና ሰው የሆነ ሁሉ ተግባራዊ ምላሽ እንዲሰጥ በዚህ ወሳኝ መድረክ ላይ ለማሳሰብ እወዳለሁ።
Temesgen noted that under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia is pioneering efforts to build a climate-resilient economy. Central to this vision is reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transforming the transport sector. The country has already begun introducing vehicles powered by renewable energy while working to reduce dependency on fossil fuels. Ethiopia's Transport and Logistics Minister, Dr. Alemu Simeonis Part, said that intensified works are underway to establish a sustainable and environmentally friendly transport system. He emphasized that green mobility reflects Ethiopia's broader path toward building a green economy, noting that the global rise in oil prices and the escalating impacts of climate change make the transition to sustainable alternatives an urgent necessity. According to the minister, Ethiopia's green transport strategy is structured around 3 key pillars.
አረንጓዴ ትራንስፖርት አብዮት በሶስት ተያያዥነት ባላቸው ምሰሶች ላይ ትኩረት በማድረግ እየተሰራ ይገኛል።
The green transport revolution rests on 3 essential and interconnected pillars. First, we aim to expand the public transport system with a strong emphasis on buses. Priority is given to transitioning public transport providers toward electric buses, ensuring cleaner and more efficient mobility. Second, we are promoting non-motorized transport to fundamentally transform urban movements. A 10-year non-motorized transport strategy has already been designed and put into action. The long-term plan has achieved rapid success thanks to Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's Corridor Development Initiative, which paved the way for the construction of pedestrian walkways and cycling roads. With this achievement, I ask you to extend gratitude to His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed. We will continue to strengthen and expand this initiative across all our cities. Third, our focus is on expanding the use of vehicles powered by renewable energy. Efforts are underway to ensure that more than 100,000 electric vehicles will be on Ethiopia's road by 2030.
እንደ አውሮፓውያን ዘመን አቆጣጠር በ2030 በመንገዶቻችን ላይ ከ500,000 በላይ የኤሌክትሪክ ተሽከርካሪዎች እንዲኖሩ ለማድረግ እየተሰራ ይገኛል።
Following the speech, officials, ambassadors, company executives and leaders of international organizations visited the exhibition, which featured a diverse range of electric vehicles and green mobility technologies. Pulse of Africa conducted interview with both exhibitors and visitors, capturing perspectives on the future of sustainable transport.
I think the public fails to realize how big a revolution this actually is for the country. Because what the country has done is, under the leadership of your Prime Minister, you've actually taken what you have in the dam and you've converted that to hydroelectric power, and you're using that to displace things like diesel. And this is an amazing step forward for the country, especially with the ban on the import of ICE cars and ICE trucks. It's a massive step forward. The real opportunity lies in the gap between now and COP32. So Ethiopia won the bid to host COP32 in 2027. And the real opportunity is to create movement within the local sector in transport to mobilize action towards green initiatives, green targets for COP32. And I think the world is going to sit up and recognize the leadership of Ethiopia in achieving that. I mean, I'm already seeing electric buses being assembled locally. Definitely within the next 18 months, we're going to see electric trucks assembled locally, and Ethiopia is going to lead the African continent in a green renaissance.
Our country is making a lot of contribution for this green mobility. We are proud of our government for introducing such kind of facility or initiation.
I think it's a really good ways to do this, because in China we are Chinese companies. We are also trying to focus on the green mobilities in our countries, and which is very good for reduce pollutions to the environment, and also it can pull up the the economic. So it would be a very great things to do. Yeah, I think Africa also for Ethiopia. They do have the abilities to finish this outstanding work. So with such transportations companies such as Sinotruk and all the others effort, I think, and we will have the confidence to achieve these goals in the near future. Thank you.
I think it's really promising, and it's what we need to do to move forward as a country anyways, and as a planet in general, because fuel is obviously finite. Oil is finite, so it's good to go about this way to for a cleaner earth and a cleaner country in general, and it's going to be better for the economy too, I believe. And we bring in these cars, these from China, right? This is the L6 version we have right now, but we're going to bring in more like the L9s and everything. These are extended range vehicles, so you put a little bit of fuel in the generator, and it actually charges the battery as you go. So it's not a traditional hybrid car, but it'll just charge the battery as you're driving. So if let's say you're driving outside of the country, outside the city, going to the countryside for Mescal or somewhere, and you don't have a generator with you don't have a battery with you, the car itself will charge the battery for you, and it'll extend the range by like 600 kilometers or so. It's just better for the country in general because it's just pure electricity, mostly electricity that drives it. So you just contribute where you don't have like fumes coming out of your car, no emissions coming from your car, so you're contributing like decreasing your carbon footprint by driving this car. So I think it's really good step forward, and I think the leadership was shown there. So it's very positive. So I applaud the government here for doing that. The leadership is nice. I appreciate it.
By following our government policy, we already the first one who is going to introduce the LNG and EV heavy trucks in Ethiopia. Now we are under construction level. After 2 or 3 months, we are going to launch our first product to the market. That will contribute a great role for the development of this green economy. Besides the trucks, we are planning also to manufacture different facilities that will help the LNG facility distribution and others as well.
The country has done amazing things in harnessing that power, but now it's about converting that energy and making it useful in other areas in the economy. So industry is one angle and the other one is transport. And transport is a huge burden on the economy. You really need transport to move goods around the country, but it's a huge burden in the sense of diesel imports. So diesel imports is a huge drain on the forex. But one of the studies that I did in modeling road freight in Ethiopia Ethiopia is that over a 10-year period, electric trucks will save 50% of forex versus diesel trucks. So that's a 50% reduction in the outflow of dollars from the country.
The country has launched ambitious programs to promote electric mobility, expand renewable energy capacity, and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Ethiopia's leadership in green transport not only addresses local environmental challenges, but also sets as an example for other African nations striving toward sustainable development.
Africa has been one of the smallest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, but will pay a hefty price for what the Northern Hemisphere has done in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. But I think the real challenge for Africans is to come up with uniquely African solutions to solve the climate resilience challenges heading in the future. And I think we're going to see African innovation thriving in that situation, because the problems that we will face will be uniquely African. But we are already seeing, for example, in agriculture, farmers that are moving towards solar for water pumps so that they can irrigate their crops. And we're going to see more and more things like that on a very small scale, but spread out throughout the country, that will make a difference. And I think we're at the birth of something quite unique, something really special. The fact that Ethiopia has already harnessed the green energy and now will leverage that in every part of the economy. And everyone in the country will feel that impact. For me, what is really special about this event, it's the first global event that I've been to on green mobility that was opened by children. Now, what's special about that is that those very same children will hold our generation accountable for the emissions that we created, because more than 50% of the emissions, the man-made emissions in the atmosphere, was created in the last 50 years. And that's my generation that did that. But my children and my grandchildren, the next generation, will hold us accountable for what we have done. So it's time for us to clean that up.